Welcome everybody to day 2 of our weekend workshop for the George online group for the month of November 2020, and we had a lovely day yesterday. All kinds of different sharing that is experiential, and that's what I wanted, as we move forward, is to speak about what we speak about, but more practically focused, more your own experiencing of what we're talking about here, rather than it being theoretical and practical. I wanted to move into experiential, our own engagement of the material, and allowing the material to transform us, as we acknowledge truth and use the teaching, the truth that sets us free, to use the teaching to engage what is being taught here. And so we did look at the 7 spiritual practices yesterday, aspects of it as required as we worked with individuals. What I'm going to do this morning is just look at them in a sequential manner, and what the objective is for us looking at it, the 7 spiritual practice in a sequential manner this morning, is the awareness of us that we are operating at some level of security or insecurity. We are, all of us are. And to become aware of that I am to some degree secure and I am to some degree insecure. You want to acknowledge that. You want to recognize that is something, it's like your heart beating. Whether you're aware of it or not, your heart is beating. You can be aware of your pulse, how many beats per second, or you can be unaware of your pulse. Nonetheless, you have your heart beating and you have a pulse. So in the same way, you have a spiritual pulse. Whether you're aware of it or not, you have a spiritual pulse. And you want to be aware, what's your spiritual pulse. Sometimes when people get heart attacks, their blood supply to the heart is minimized because of the vessels. The vessels are clogged with arteriosclerotic plates, so plaques actually. So the blood doesn't flow through, and what happens is it slows down, the blood flow slows down, not enough blood. And so sometimes you see people fall asleep. During the day, wherever they are, they just fall asleep. And you might think they're tired or they're sleepy. In the meantime, it's not enough blood being circulated in the body, and there's not enough oxygenation. So, chances are they need a bypass, because there's blood occlusion or blood vessel occlusion, blood is not flowing through. So you can be aware sometimes of your, blood flow through your body, directly or indirectly, so you can observe somebody who's feeling sleepy for most of the time, like what's going on there? Something's not right with this picture. If somebody's turning blue, you can recognize they got a circulatory problem, they're in some kind of distress. Now oxygen, in the blood, you can see. The person themselves may or may be aware of the symptoms, or they might not, or they might misdiagnose the symptoms. So, in the same way, spiritually speaking, we have a spiritual heartbeat, a spiritual pulse, a certain level of flow within us, that we are expressing. And that's what we want to look at. We want to look at, or we want to acknowledge we have a level of spiritual flow, security, or lack of spiritual flow. It's impeded, it's occluded, blockages, and you can see it in a person. So somebody who is, out and about every day, engaging life, living, you can see that person has a greater level of flow. They might have inspiration, enthusiasm, they might have aspirations, dreams, and they might be applying themselves. Now you can see this person's flow, if it's heartfelt, not from the mind and ego, you can begin aware that this person is spiritually alive and more spiritually fit. Somebody who's gloomy and sad and angry and upset and blaming, who can't see the opportunity that life is, who not appreciating the opportunity that life is, that person you can see is, not doing too well spiritually. Always blaming, always upset, a story about something or another. You can see that person's got spiritual parasites feeding on them. You can see somebody who's destructive, like in addiction and that kind of thing, physically destructive, or even emotionally destructive, keeping themselves in problematic situations, where they're not getting nourished, work that is not nourishing but even offensive and, not who you are, or relationships that are offensive or not who you are. You can see people when they are spiritually unwell, leading all the way to anxiety and depression and apathy, then person's really in a bad way. So that's what we're talking about here today, that we all have a level of spirituality or security. You can see people who are allowing of others, tolerant, accepting, spiritually alive, not going to upset themselves about anything or anybody, handling situations respectfully, and so on and so forth, being present and encouraging themselves and others, saying, encouraging, empowering things, recognizing that they have challenges in life and addressing those challenges, seeing things about themselves that require addressing and addressing these things. This is now an indication that somebody is more, on the side of spiritual growth and development, and they have more and more energy available because they're flowing more. So the more you're flowing energy, the more alive you are. The more you're flowing energy, the more inspired you can be. The more you're flowing energy, the more you can enjoy yourself and your life, in a spontaneous kind of way. And the more people are spontaneous uniquely themselves, the more you can see they're flowing energy. If not, the person is a clone, of somebody else, and or how you should be, how I should live. And we'll look at some examples later on today of a client I worked with recently. This is what we're talking about here, that there is an indication in terms of the person's energy flow, and that's reflected in them and their expression and their living. It's an indication of their flow. And so what blocks flow is identification and attachment to mind, fear-based beliefs, and the belief that there's something out here that can hurt you or harm you, help you or heal you, that there's something in the world that is dangerous or powerful in a dangerous way or powerful in a beneficial way. The moment your mind identifies with and attaches to some kind of idea regarding something or somebody, I'm threatened, I'm vulnerable, I need, or I need to not need, I must keep what I need and never part with it. We spoke about that yesterday, neediness, greediness, and anti-need. The moment the mind in some way gets hung up on attributing significance and importance to anything created, relevance to anything created, that's when you get into a trouble. You get into a problem, Like somebody might think, I'm not good enough. Good and evil. I'm not good enough. The judgment that we engage in, the self-righteousness should not be. So we spoke about this, that the moment you compare, you contrast, you make something better than something else, the moment you project power into the world that something is good or evil, something can make you happy, something can make you unhappy, the moment you think something is better than something else, you start attributing significance and importance to anything in the world, including yourself. You have significance, but you're not to attribute significance to yourself. Things are as they are, but when you attribute, you are innately valuable. That is accepted, it is a given. But when you think that I'm valuable because I smile a lot, and I don't smile enough, so I'm not valuable, that is attributing significance. Something is good, more of something is good. Something is bad, less of something is good, more of something is bad. The more you in your mind begin to believe that you know what is good and what is evil, wherever you move into judgment, this is something for me to feel bad about. This is something for me to feel good about. Thus it is good if it's something for me to feel good about. It's bad if it's something for me to feel bad about. This kind of judgment and self-righteous shoulding, right and wrong, good and bad, better than, worse than, it makes me good, it makes me bad, it makes me okay, it doesn't make me okay, I'm okay if, on condition that, I'm not okay on condition that. The mind, is very judgmental, and the fallen mind, and that thing of this shouldn't be. It's wrong that this is. It's wrong. This is wrong. This doesn't have a right to exist. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be another way. That's you in your ego mind. That's you in your child mind. This is not right. It's wrong. That is called self-righteousness and judgment. It's right, it's wrong, it's bad. That kind of assessment that is egoic. Remember, you can say that I don't like milk chocolate. You can say that. That's not an assessment or a attributing of significance. When you say milk chocolate is bad, that is attributing significance. If you don't have to say I find everybody attractive all of the time. Nobody's asking you to say that everybody is appealing to me. You don't have to make them ugly. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to say that person is ugly. You can say I find the person unattractive. So don't feel like when I'm saying that the mind is into good and bad, right and wrong, better than and worse than, should and should not, don't feel like you're supposed to be a blank slate and that you're not supposed to have an opinion, or you're not supposed to have a feeling. There's a very big difference between expression and judgment, and you're allowed to express yourself. It is your prerogative, it is your right as a human being to express yourself. It is encouraged that you express yourself. I prefer bananas, you can say that. Or I don't like bananas. But to say bananas are bad, are wrong, there's something wrong with bananas, that is a judgment of a reality, of an experience, of a it's a judgment of a let's say form in this dimension. So we said yesterday that forms have no impact on existence, or experiences don't have any impact on existence. Experiences just are a reflection of the energy that we are putting out. So the moment you take a form and you make it real, that's what happens. You take something and you think it's got a reality. So if you say this is ugly, this is bad, this shouldn't be, your attention is out onto the world and it is locked in the world through a trance, and it's a judgment or self-righteousness, and that causes a problem because you are maintaining a trance. And all trances then lead to opposing forces. That means the moment you judge something or evaluate in a self-righteous way, like I know what's right, I know what's wrong, you can say I don't appreciate that, you can say I appreciate that, you can say I agree with that, you can say that's something I also believe, you can say all that. But the moment you say it like something in this world is something that is independent of us, and that it has an existence of its own, and it is either good or evil, it's happiness provoking or unhappiness provoking, the moment you make something in this world real, attribute significance to it, look at it like it has an existence in a real sense, it causes problems for you. It's like somebody sitting in a cinema watching a movie and thinking that the movie is happening really, it's not real in that moment at that time, it's filmed. And there's a cameraman and actors and costume makers and director and producer and sound engineers, we're all behind it, and there's a camera. It's for entertainment purposes, it's something that is made up and contrived, and we enjoy it. The actors are good, and we experience that, and it's just a movie on a screen. It has no realness about it. It can't do anything to the screen, and it can't do anything to us. It's just a movie on a screen. So in the same way, when we engage life, and as we engage life, we engage life in the same way that our experiences are temporary. They are reflections. Everything created is temporary. Everything had a beginning, everything will have an end. It's not as real as we think it is. So it's temporary in that sense. It's secondary in that sense, while God is primary. But it's also temporary in the sense of you can experience something else. It's like a movie, that you watch on your television or your device, and it's not really there. You're streaming it, you're watching it, you can change the channel, you can watch something else. So this is the thing, that we realize that we are in a world that is not of any real relevance. It's more reflective, it's more a reflection, and it's illusory in its experience. The world is illusory. If you remember yesterday, the day before, while it was happening, it seemed very real. When you look now about yesterday, it seems illusory. It's like a dreamlike experience. It's like, did yesterday really happen? you know, and we think, of course, you're dead, we were there and it happened, that's what happened. And is the future there as well? We think, of course, we'll get there one day in the future. And we sort of make experience very, very solid. You know, we give it a very, very, you know, deep reality. And what if it's not as real and as solid and as, you know, that we make it, but we give it that representation in our mind. We say, yes, it's like this, yes, it's like that. We are the ones confirming our perception of it. But what if reality is a perception? What if we are perceiving? Things are perceptions, and perceptions can change. You know, and you can have different perceptions. In fact, if you look at psychological illusions, you know, those things that you look at, and if you look at it and you see with one kind of focus, it seems one thing, and another kind of focus, it seems another thing. But it's actually the same picture. You realize perception is in your mind. You're perceiving and integrating information through your mind. Perception is not in the picture. It's in your mind. It's how you see things. It's how you experience things. You know, 10 people in the same situation can have 10 different experiences of that same situation. You know, a boy is leaving for college, and his family is wishing him well, you know, and his mother is so sad. You know, why is he going to a distant college when there's one nearby? You know, why is he going? That's her experience. The father is like sad that he was getting to know this boy as he's growing up, and now his boy is moving away, and he won't get to know his boy. The younger brother is like, I'm going to get his room, you know, I'm going to get his room. The other brother is thinking, I'm not going to get bullied anymore, you know, so nice. And, you know, relatives might be thinking, oh, he's so lucky, his future is about to begin, and that. So, one event, you know, the guy going to college, the neighbor might be thankful that, oh, now there's not going to be loud music anymore. I'm just giving you an example. One thing, people are experiencing it in so many different ways. And where is that experience happening? In the minds of people, through their perceptions. So what we're saying is, the moment you go into your mind, and you don't even know you're going into your mind. We don't know. Most people don't know they are in their minds, identified with their minds, and making the world around them very real, and locking themselves up into those realities. Those perceptions are locked, and your perceptions create your reality. Your perceptions influence energy flow. Your perceptions generate a level of energy. You know, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, life is so horrible. It's perceptions people have. It's a perception, you know, we have perception. That's why I told you before that, you know, look and see, what are my perceptions, what are my points of view, what are my perspectives. When you say things, recognize this is a perspective, this is a point of view. This is a perception. When people are talking, recognize they're expressing a point of view, a perception, a perspective. You don't have to, you know, take it seriously. And different people have different perspectives. You know, we accept that people have different perspectives. We might not accept the perspective, you know, but we accept that, you know, so somebody might tell you, you know, you like this and you like that, and they might have, you know, some kind of ego agenda. That's their perspective. Everybody has a perspective. It's an opinion, you know. Everybody has an opinion. If you remind yourself, this is an opinion, this is a perspective, and people are entitled to their perspectives and opinions, you'll be very allowing and accepting. You'll be more grounded. But if you fail to recognize people's perceptions and perspectives and opinions, if you make that like it's a fact, and you are against those facts, that's when your mind and somebody else's mind will clash. That's when you are into agreement and disagreement, like good and evil. It's like, yeah, no, you're right, I agree with you, we're together on this. That is opposing forces, you understand? No, you're wrong, I disagree with you. That is when you shut down, when you're polarized. But if you can go beyond your mind and other people's minds, you can actually recognize, I see what you're saying. It's an interesting perspective you have there. I see that you have, this interesting perspective. It's a perspective. I see you have your perspective. I am observing your perspective. Instead of saying the truth, what you're saying is ... wrong or right. If you can begin to observe that people have their perspectives, and you're observing their perspective, and they have a perspective, instead of saying, no, you're wrong, I disagree with you, you're right. Instead of going there, you can say we all have perspectives, and you have a perspective. You are expressing your perspective. And some people might express their perspective as truth. Like, this is right, agreement with their perspective. So our minds, we don't really know, and we can't know. We don't have that kind of intelligence of our own selves know things. But when we surrender our minds and we become aware of truth, not our minds, not our thoughts, we can abide by truth. We can align to truth. And we can live truthfully, which is very different. So, a master doesn't claim to know everything. A master is aligning to and abiding in truth. Meaning, like for example, people have perspectives. And we accept that they have perspectives. We might not accept the perspective that they have, but we accept that they have a perspective. And they're entitled to have their perspective. And whether we like it or not, people have perspectives. We accept that people have perspectives. Whether we like their perspectives or not, or whether we like them to have perspectives or not, people have perspectives. And we accept that. So that's spiritual truth. We don't accept what is, but we accept that it is. What's so? What is so? What is so is whether you like it or not, people have their opinions. Whether you like their opinions or not, they have opinions. We accept that. Instead of saying, oh no, they got a wrong opinion, they shouldn't have an opinion. People who have a wrong opinion shouldn't have an opinion. Sometimes when I'm watching some YouTube videos, of the music from, the golden age of music, the 80s, you'll see like 2,000 people will say, I like this video. Could be a George Michael video. And you'll say about 15 people will say, I don't like this video. And then I wonder, should people who went there when the song be released comment on videos? Because somebody could be born in the last decade and might say, oh, it's a horrible song. And I might look at that and say, how can you say such a thing? This is, a genius, a class song. You shouldn't comment. You understand? That's not spiritual of me. That's insecure. But if I say it doesn't change what it is, I'm not dependent on the opinions of others. It's okay that, people, whether I like it or not, people who don't know what's good are going to watch things that they don't recognize as good, and they are going to not like it, or they're going to say it's not good. Now that is much more a secure thing for me to perceive than to say, oh, silly ass, and judge them and think what idiots, they're embarrassing themselves by saying, how can they not like something or admire something? They don't have any, critical ability. They just... So I might be taking the opinions of others too seriously. I'm using that as an example. And I might recognize that I'm wasting my time even giving that thought, and that's me being stupid. I want to recognize that. I don't have to judge it as me being stupid, but I'm saying I recognize that it's pointless. My whole this thought system about that is wasting my time. I'm being foolish. Without judgment, I'm being foolish. So I'm just giving you how people can actually get lost in their own perspectives about other people's perspectives, like a perception about other people's perceptions, or a point of view about other people's point of view. Like, for example, I can have a point of view about other people's point of view, but still a point of view. But I might take it so seriously, like I'm saying, I don't think people should comment. I'm just making a comment myself. That I don't think certain people should comment on the good stuff because they don't know. But that's my comment about their comment. It's all at the same level. It's nothing really important and significant. But now, the moment I start taking something seriously and start thinking about it and start reacting to it, what happens? I lose my balance. I lose my connection to me and what's important to me. And that's what happens in life. People are getting involved in all kinds of shallow things. I'm not using that as a judgment, I'm just using that as a description. I'm calling things that are not really, meaningful to them, but they get distracted by it. That's a trance. Wasting their time and their attention on something completely, not worth giving a hoot about. So, I'm just telling you that the mind and its attachment to ideas and perspectives that are judgmental, like good, bad, right, wrong, better than, worse than, and self-righteousness, it should be and shouldn't be. What should be? Only certain people should give comment, other people shouldn't give comment. The moment you go into that kind of thinking and perceptual system into your mind, you lose ground, spiritual ground. That's what we were talking about earlier on. We said that people can block the experience of flow, spiritual energy. They can keep themselves from being inspired and enthused and living and enjoying life. So our mind usually just puts us in these trances, and next thing we get distracted by something or disturbed by something. We get excited by something, or excited or disappointed. We look at something that's disappointing and we lose our energy into that. So it's important to recognize, if you're on the spiritual path, the role of your mind. And again, I'm teaching this to you as best as I can to support us in being healers of ourselves, our bodies, our lives, of others, creative human beings on the planet. I'm I'm not expecting everybody to accept everything and live it fully. So don't feel pressured in any way. But I am teaching it so that those of you who do want to are aware of and exposed to what I know. And I'm sharing it with you. So I'm not sharing it with you to change you or control you or to say you shouldn't be the way you are and you should be another way. I don't need you to be different, because that would straight away go into a perspective, a perception, a mind thought, a point of view, self-righteousness. You should be like that. The way you are is wrong. And it would be a judgment. It's wrong to be like this. It's right to be like that. The way you are is not okay. And you need to be another way. Judgment, withholding of love, disallowing, and that's not principle. That's not truth. The universe is not in any way saying to you, you need to be different. You should be different. You're not okay the way you are. The universe gives you an opportunity to choose different. You can choose different. I can give you an option. I can teach you something that you might value, and you might say, wow, Ashraf, that's really incredible. I didn't realize that I spend most of my day in my mind. I didn't realize that I'm lost in thought, I'm judgmental, I'm self-righteous, without judging yourself, because don't attribute significance to the way you are and to the way you want to be. Don't say being judgmental is wrong and bad, because now you're being judgmental about being judgmental. Don't say, the idea is not to judge being judgmental. The idea is not to be self-righteous around being self-righteous. I shouldn't be like this, I know it's wrong, and I know I shouldn't be like this. I should be like that. There's a should there. You're saying I should not use the word should. I am shoulding a lot, and it's wrong to should a lot, and I should not should. That just takes you into the mind. That kind of a mentality of judgment and righteousness locks you up in realities. It just locks you up. You lose power. So if, for example, you recognize that on your body somewhere you find a growth, that something seems to be swelling or a growth, for example, and then your mind starts thinking, this is bad, this is not normal, and this is bad, this is wrong, and it's not like how it was before, and now there's something wrong with the way it is, and you start thinking this shouldn't be, and I must get rid of it. Straight away you are going into your mind and getting locked in your mind, judgment, self-righteousness. That renders you stuck. Now you're against having that particular growth, and you think it's good to be against. You're scared to release your againstness. You're scared to release your againstness because you think if I release my againstness, it means I'm for it. And you're now stuck in that reality, because it's not about the thing that is to get rid of it or to keep it. It's about you going to a higher level within you to say, I let it be, I let it continue to be, I free myself to flow energy, and I open up to being restored to complete health, and I'm thankful that it is, available to me, the power that always is to fulfill my desires, that I am supported in being restored to complete health, or to have my body be renewed, or have my vision as clear as possible, or this growth, non-existence. I'm living very pleased that I am completely well and enjoying health and fitness and strength. And my body is in its original blueprint, well. I'm desiring that. Now that's you expressing yourself. I'm desiring an alternate experience. I see what can be. And I'm really interested in having that experience. When I took you yesterday through the 7 phases, first one is be very clear about the experience you want to have. If you're saying, oh, this body's got this problem, and now I want to get rid of this problem, because if I don't get rid of this problem, I'm for this problem, your attention is still on the problem. Get rid of it or don't get rid of it. But the problem is a reflection of consciousness. So if you begin to say, well, what I choose to experience, I'm not focusing on the problem about getting rid of it or doing anything about it. I'm focusing on an alternate reality. I can experience myself being completely well, physically, emotionally, mentally. I choose health and fitness and strength and hygiene at all these levels. I want to experience. There is an alternate experience of me, my body being completely fit, strong and healthy, pleasing to me. That I'm really pleased. I see and feel myself to be in a reality where I'm really pleased with my complete health and the state of my body. I'm really pleased. I'm very thankful that everything is okay and I'm healthy and I'm fit and I'm strong and I have a body that is supporting me in life and in living and enjoying myself. So I see that for me. Now, you can't go there if you are like, this disease is bad and I need to do something about it, I need to get rid of it. But if you stop focusing on the disease, you allow it to be, you allow it to continue to be, and you start focusing on alternate reality, and you begin to say, I'm very grateful. Well, first you must know what you want, second is a desire, 3 is belief or faith. I really want that. That's really pleasing to me. There's value in me having that experience. And thirdly, that is possible. That I don't have to know how that is made happen for me. I only know that there is a power that responds, and that is the law. That whatever I see and feel, whatever I energize, is materialized for me. And I'm thankful for the power that is restoring me, dissolving any and all blockages, supporting flow, and making it be that I am enjoying being completely fit, strong and healthy in every way. Now, that is different, because that's you not in your mind, that's you not controlled by your mind, that's you free to focus on what it is you would like to have the alternate experience of. That is you actually, desirous, this valuing of it for you. You, the adult, says, the value of that, why would that please me? What about that pleases me? I'm very grateful. And that's what you would have the experience of. In your imagination, you can see it and feel it like you are in that experience. And you want that, and it's pleasing for you. And you know that it is done for you. I give thanks to the power that responds to my desires, the power that fulfills. And I trust that as I see and feel this to be so and remain loyal to it, it becomes so. I'm very grateful that I'm being completely healed now, that this is being healed, that what is being brought forth is the experience of complete health, fulfillment, materialized for me, that there is beyond what I'm living now an alternate reality where I am completely well. And I'm thankful that that reality is there for me to focus on and into and immerse myself in. And I'm doing that. I'm not interested in what currently is experienced by my body or senses. I'm interested in applying myself and experiencing the reality I desire, which I'm doing. And as I do it, it becomes, it's materialized. As I energize, I'm so thankful that whatever is energized is materialized. See? So you can begin to see how your mind can actually stop you from, well, it can't stop you, but by you identifying with your mind, you stop you from using your creative ability. And so I'm just making a point that the mind can really, it can really hold you back. Well, it can't, but you understand what I'm saying, that your identification with your mind can really hold you back. If you become aware, I have a mind, it has all these thoughts, it focuses my attention in a certain way, and I want to be aware of it, how it's focusing my attention or how it holds me, how my mind will suggest. That's now, in Islamic teachings, Satan is called the great suggester, the great whisperer. Well, not great, but like the chief deceiver, the one who deceives you. So your mind is like that part of you that is the mythology of Satan, the archetype of Satan, that is through your mind that Satan will tell you, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is better than, this is worse than. Attribute significance. This world is real. Focus on this world, it's special. And if you focus on this world, it's good for you. And certain things in this world, forms are better than others. These are right forms, these are wrong forms. This should be, it should be like this, it shouldn't be like that, you should be like this, you should be like that. So your mind is the fallen mind. It's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's a tree of happiness and unhappiness. That's what we want to actually recognize. The effects of our identification with our mind. It's really important to recognize, especially if you want to develop spiritually, progress personally, and access your creative empowerment. If you want to access your creative empowerment, what we just showed you now, how to go into an alternate reality, how to be aware beyond what is currently happening and focus in to another reality and focus it in. How you in consciousness, worship and pray, that you say, God, Thee alone do we focus on, Thee alone do we turn to for fulfillment. You are available to fulfill us, and as I energize, invoke what I desire, I'm thankful you are here. If you read in the Quran, Abraham says, when I am sick, it is God that heals me. The one that heals me. I'm sick, God heals me. So if we recognize that there is a power, like the wind we said yesterday, that moves the sailboat. As you hoist the sails, the wind blows the sails attached to the structure of the boat, and it's moved. The boat moves because of the strength of the wind, and the sail can handle that pushing, blowing, and the boat moves. So there is a power, and we acknowledge that one power, and we can be aware that there really is the one power, and we are in its care. We are created by it, and we are in its care, and it responds to us, and we can use that power. We can have that power. It's always operating, benefit us based on how we apply ourselves multidimensionally, how we apply ourselves as spiritual beings, conscious beings, and progressive beings. We can use the creative power. So consider that I can do this. I can say, I focus into a reality where I'm really pleased, that my body is very pleasing for me. It's in good health and strong and fit and ideal and perfect. It's well, and I'm really pleased about that. I can see and feel into that reality. But what does it require? If I was needy, and in my mind, I wouldn't go into an alternate reality. If I was spiritually disempowered, I'd be afraid of, the disease processes that I might have now in my body and what's going on in my life. And I would be like, this is bad, this is wrong, this shouldn't be, another thing should be. And, being controlled by that. I can, through spiritual power, going beyond my mind, surrendering, submitting, I can focus on, what's valuable to me. From spiritual power, I can access personal power. Like, what do I want? So if I'm not affected by what I see and what's going on, and I know everything's okay, I'm okay, in spite of what's going on, I have God, I'm in the care of God, I'm okay, everything is okay. Instead of thinking I'll be okay when I get rid of this disease, I'll be okay when I find a doctor that can get rid of this disease. This disease is something bad. My experiencing being diseased currently or having this problem is a very serious thing. The more I attribute significance to a form, the less spiritually empowered I am. But if I can be more spiritually empowered, going beyond forms, I can then withdraw my attention from forms. I can practice patience, basically. And what can then happen is I'm more aware of what I want as an adult. What would please me? What would I enjoy? What would be satisfying for me? Only the secure can be self-full. And now I know what it is that I want to have the experience of. I know what would please me. I can feel good about it. Now I can invoke, now I can say, I'm very grateful for the power that fulfills me, that I'm heard and responded to, and it's now happening, that I'm being healed. And it's now happening that alternate reality is materializing, that whatever currently is being dissolved. It's taken care of for me. I don't have to worry about what is. The dissolving of it, the releasing of it, the handling of it, God handles it. It's no problem. I'm so thankful that I have God to dissolve what's going on currently that I don't want. And that as I claim what I want, I'm so grateful that I have God fulfilling, what it is that I want. And if we go through the spiritual practices, this dissolving, God dissolving, is God the caretaker taking care of things for me. God is handling this. I don't have to worry. I have some power. I have the one only power actually available and handling this for me. And that is something that is really, I'm thankful for that. I'm acknowledging the power that dissolves unrealities, that reveals unrealities to be illusions. As I feel secure and know that I'm okay and everything is okay, healing is occurring, the stuff, unrealities are dissolving, and that is God the caretaker. Sixth are the spiritual practices. And the seventh one is God is the contributor, the cherisher and contributor. That if I say, right, what I want to have the experience of is being pleased that my body is healthy and fit and strong and is serving me, and I'm so grateful. And I see that and I feel that. I know that one power not only dissolves unrealities but supports experiencing the real. My heart is set onto some experience, and I am desirous of it, and I'm experiencing of it. And I know that as I energize it, it is materialized for me. Remember, we have no power to control anybody or anything, not even our realities. There's nothing we can really do about anything in real terms, or anybody. We are created beings in a created world. We could do nothing to cause ourselves to be. We can do nothing to make sure we're okay. We can do nothing to make sure the world is okay. The world is okay because the one created us, created the world okay. We are okay because we are created okay. We accept that we are okay. We observe that we are okay. That means there's support, universal sustaining power, that life is and continues to be. We are and continue to be. And we're thankful for that. We feel secure about that. And that this power as we go to a higher level, the power that has created us and has caused us to be, it is caring, considerate and compassionate. It is our caretaker and it is our contributor. It handles things for us and materializes for us what it is we desire. We have an awareness that there is this power and we're in acceptance of this power. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, there is a creator. 2, it is our cause and cherisher. 3, we are in its care, we're taken care of. 4, it is with us and for us, interested in us, attentive to us. It is the all-considerate and giving, granting essence. 5, it is the protective, forgiving, pardoning essence. It is compassionate. 6 is that it is the caretaking. It handles things for us. We don't have to handle anything. It handles everything for us. We are in its care. 7, contribute. 6 is that caretaking. It takes care of us. We are taken care of. We can't take care of ourselves. We can't take care of anything. We can't do anything about unrealities. God dissolves it. We can go into the energy of spiritual practice and we move into the energy that practice has, the key that it gives us, and we experience being supported. We experience things made happen for us, dissolved for us, or being brought into existence. And the last one, God is the contributing presence, the granting presence, the giving presence, that materializes for us, the materializing presence. So, 1 is worship. God is the creator. 2 is praise. God is the cause and cherisher. All great cause and all gracious cherisher. That is praise. 3 is trust in God, is the assurance that we experience as we know God is the one in whose care we all always are in. We always okay. Everything is always okay. We are most definitely in the care of God. We look around, we recognize it's a fact. The earth is spinning, our hearts are beating. The sufficient care of God is trusting in God, that we release into the care of God. We know God is sufficient for us. We trust in God. That is the third spiritual practice. God is caring for us. We become aware of the caring nature of God and that we are now already cared for and nobody else's caring compares to the caring of God. God is the incomparable. 4 is thankfulness, is appreciation, is realizing you've already been given existence, life as a human being, a body, mind, a fact, feeling that you've been given worth and dignity, you've been given worthiness, value, innate value, you've been given abilities. We're thankful for the abilities that we have, the faculties that we have, the endowments that we have. We have the ability to worship God, to pray to and through God. We have the ability to be godly. God's good is upon us in this world, in the world beyond. We have the ability to energize what we want, to invoke what we want, and it is materialized. This is the law. We get supported in having the energies that we energize, the realities that we energize, the energies that we generate. They're reflected back to us in this dimension. There's good for us in this world and the world beyond. We're okay, everything's okay. That is the appreciation that what we have now, although there's more to want, but what we have now, there's nothing we can want more than what we have now, for us to feel thankful. So we can feel assured now, we can feel secure now, we can feel thankful now. That is 3 and 4. And we can recognize that all our problems is a reflection of our trances, that we are in some way contributing to low vibration, insecurity, childishness or child powerlessness, that we are contributing to that we have the ability to support security, but we're not doing that, or we're not doing it to the degree that we can, or we haven't done it to some degree, and we're not doing it to some degree now. The trances, remember, we believe in need. We are keeping ourselves from feeling secure. We are doing it by identifying with the mind that is into its judgment and its reflection, judgment and self-righteousness, its stories, its false interpretations, what we call misperceptions. It's opinions that we don't realize that we just have opinions. These are not facts, they're opinions, they're perceptions. We don't really know, we can't really know. We don't have that power. Only God really knows. We don't have that kind of power to really know. We can be aware of truth, and we can align and surrender, and we can say we are aware of truth, that we know what truth is, and we are aligning to truth, but we can't really know. Only God really knows. The Creator doesn't have that kind of power. And when we realize we are maintaining trances, satanic promptings, maintaining, the fears, is something you should feel bad about. You need this to go away. Judge it. Do something about it. This doesn't have a right to be the way it is. It doesn't have a right to exist. We decide, no, it shouldn't be. But it already is, but we think it shouldn't be. We start feeling that we, have our minds know. And that's where we go into the arrogance, good and evil. We get lost in these trances that keep us insecure, keep us from experiencing okayness, security, the truth, observing. These trances keep us from observing, when we look around us, that there is only God, and this world is because of God, and everything here is because of the majesty of God. Everything, we can't see it because we are in the mind and in the trance. We are lost, as some of our parents have been, most of our parents, as our tribes have been. We have continued in that particular tragic legacy. But fortunately, guidance has come to us, and those of us who are interested in actually going beyond insecurity can surrender the trances, and at least we can admit that I do have trances. Nobody's saying that you shouldn't have them. Don't judge yourself. Remember, we spoke about this early on. We'll speak about yesterday, and we'll speak about it a bit later on. But you're allowed to have trances. You're allowed to be in error. It's okay that you are in error. Don't expect yourself to be error-free. It's unreasonable. Don't think to be in error is something that's bad or wrong, or you shouldn't be in error, or that you should always be perfect. That is a judgment and self-righteousness around judgment and self-righteousness. That's a reaction about reaction. So we want to get to a point of being with ourselves, allowing ourselves, knowing that we are allowed, that we are in error, keeping ourselves insecure, keeping ourselves powerless, not operating as adults. Like I said, the more we are in the trance of insecurity, or the mind and its distractions and disturbances, the less we will see the truth that we are in the care of God. We won't experience being cared for by God. And this is the first caring for ourselves. Caring for yourself begins by letting you know that you are cared for by God. You are in the care of God. Everything is okay. But if we are in the abandoned child part, if we are in the denial of God, we'll be like, I'm so worried, I'm so scared, I have to make sure I'm okay, I have to make sure things are okay. When I get money, I'll be okay. When I get a job, I'll be okay. When somebody loves me, I'll be okay. If the disease is gone, then I'll be okay. If I'm disease-free, then I'm okay. We don't realize that in spite of whatever forms are in our life, in spite of whatever forms are in our life, those forms do not have power. They are just current reflections of our own state of energy, our own energetic disturbances that are reflected back to us. So we, being in low vibration, denying God, start distorting energy, and that reflects back to our life, and then we start reacting to what we've miscreated through our misperceptions. And then we're not aware of God and feeling secure and okay with God, and then we are not feeling cared for, and then are not caring for ourselves. And we're not then in the adult that is aware and valuing of ourselves, our bodies, our lives. And we are keeping ourselves from being those aware, attentive adults. We, through controlled by this and that, it's the world, attributing significance to people, things, and experiences, go into a trance like a beggar is in a trance, as an addict is in a trance, and a victim is in a trance. Remember, the beggar is in a trance of, I'll be okay when I get something. The addict says, I'll be okay when I change the way I feel. And the victim is, I'll be okay when this problem is solved. But all the while, while you don't have something, and while you feel the way you do, and while there might be a problem in your reality, it's just a reflection of your own state of consciousness, you're okay right through that. And that is the actual truth. This is why we looked at, and we'll look at again today, that it's so important to be aware of what actually is so, rather than what apparently is so. What we think is to be focused on and what actually is to be focused on. The mind will tell you, focus on what you don't like. Focus on what you think shouldn't be. Focus on forms that disturb you. And focus on other forms to distract you. When you are not sick, you'll be so happy. And, you'll be okay when you're not sick. So become, focused on the form of not sick, unwell. In the meantime, we want to focus vibrationally onto the reality of experiencing a reality. Because that's what produces it. That's prayer. Pray believing that you have it and you shall be given it, It shall be made, before you can ask, it is given. There's nothing for you to worry about. That is the feeling. This is us in the multidimensional spiritual feeling of trust and thankfulness. And that feeling shifts reality. Your state, is more important than your experience. But the mind, the satanic promptings, will just tell you, that's bad, that's good, get that, get rid of this, and what you're doing is projecting power out. So, I'm just explaining what we have to ask forgiveness for. That means we acknowledge that we are operating in support of trances, and these trances keep us firstly insecure, and the belief in need keeps us from, our championing of the belief in need keeps us from experiencing being secure. So you're not insecure, you'll never be insecure, but you can experience insecurity by not choosing to be aware of how secure you are. So you don't need to do anything, because you can't make yourself secure. You already are secure. Everything already is okay. You can't make the earth spin on its axis. We can't do that. We can't make the sun rise and set. We can't do that. It's already being done for us. We're not doing that, but it's being done for us. And we acknowledge that. We are among those who look around and ponder and reflect and reason, and we can see that there is a supportive force that's beyond us, keeping us, that created us, and there's beyond us that created this world, and there's beyond us that sustains us and this world, there's beyond us that supports us and this world. There is beyond us. Now that's, the mind doesn't like to say that and admit that. The mind thinks there's only me, my mind, my thinking, I. There's no beyond me. That's egocentrism. And the other side of that coin is deity-centricism, decentrism. That there's God, there's God, there's God. Not me, God. Now we're going beyond egocentrism and deity-centricism. A lot of people reduce God to a deity. That there's something somewhere. And that thing somewhere must be pleased with us. And we have to please that thing somewhere, in some way. If we please it, we'll be okay. And if we don't please it, we're not okay. In the meantime, there's only God that alone really is the secure. And we are the creation of God, in the care of God. And we are created okay, and everything is created okay. And the mind doesn't want to see that, because the mind is telling you, this form is bad, this form is good, this experience shouldn't be, it should be like that. And you are buying into it. You don't realize you're identifying with the mind, you are attaching to the mind, you're not recognizing that you are lost in ego, you're lost in satanic promptings, you are not a believer in that moment. you are lost in time and space in a trance. You don't know, you're not seeing with a greater awareness. So when we realize, you know what, yes, that happens. We forget about God. We forget that there is beyond us, that because of whom we are and we continue to be. We forget to acknowledge that one. We forget that we are okay. We forget that. We are in error when we forget that. Through our minds, we get distracted and disturbed by forms, by experiences, and we forget that. I'm sorry that I forget that. That's asking for forgiveness. That's recognizing I'm in error without judging yourself. You know, that's the fifth spiritual practice of recognizing I keep myself insecure. I'm not happy I do that, but I do that. And I keep myself like a child, not really operating, nurturing me, attending to me, my life, nourishing my life, not really being caring to me, my body, my life, attending to me, my body, my life. I'm not being with me. I'm like so lost in the trance world of things and being controlled by things and all that, that I am lost in my mind, that I'm in that abandoned child that is trying to feel okay and is feeling like helpless and hopeless because I'm not okay. And I'm lost. And so I'm keeping myself from my ability, my natural adult ability to care for me, because I'm lost in the child, abandoning child. I recognize, yes, to some degree or another, I am neglecting myself, my body, my life, my afterlife, other people. I'm not available and relating to me, my body, my life, my afterlife, other people, things, experiences. I'm not relating as an adult. I'm not relating powerfully. In my trances, this is wrong, this is right, this is good, this is bad, this must change, I must change this, I'm so unhappy about what is. In my non-acceptance of things, in my thinking that, getting lost down these rabbit holes of, going down the rabbit hole of judgment and like reacting and not accepting, I'm losing spiritual energy, and therefore no personal power. Personal power requires spiritual energy. The more spiritual energy you have, the more personal power you can wield, because you're more freer. Faith leads to freedom. The more freer you are, the less controlled you are by anything, including yourself or anything about the world or yourself and others, the less you're trying to control anybody, anything in the world, then you will be more freer. You'll see more clearly, you'll be aware of your body, your life, your afterlife. You'll be able to see as an adult, and you'll know what's of value to you, in you, your body, your life. You'll know what you want and what's pleasing for you. You'll be able to focus on alternate realities. You'll be able to see what potentials exist for me to be and become. How can I be? How can I become? You can have a vision for yourself, and you can focus on a different version of yourself and a vision for your life. You can focus beyond when you are a person who is into caring for you, your body, your life, and you are reasoning and seeing what's good for you. You're aware of what's meaningful for you. Now you can invoke God. Now you can actually be creative. Now you can actually see alternate realities. You see, that's why we ask for forgiveness. We say, I have been identified to trances, satanic promptings. And I've kept me insecure, and I've kept me, powerless. I've kept me creatively disempowered. I've kept God's good from me in this world and the world beyond. I haven't allowed myself to feel better and experience being supported in feeling better, more naturally. I've neglected myself, my life. I've deprived myself. I'm maintaining my dissatisfaction to some degree or another, even me, to some degree or another. I'm keeping away a greater satisfaction from me. And I admit it, I accept it. Without any judgment of myself, I'm allowed to be the way I am. It's okay that I am as I am. It's okay that I continue to be as I am. I'm moving on to patience, but I'm saying that while I am as I am, there's no judgment against me. God doesn't need me to be different. God wants me to champion human excellence. God wants me to experience security. God wants me to experience self-fullness. God wants me to experience satisfaction. God created me in the highest of blueprints. And God wants me to live at the highest level of blueprint, which benefits me to do that. If I don't do that, I'm keeping me from the highest level of the blueprint, which means the highest level of faith, of I'm okay, everything is okay, I need nothing to be okay, nothing is needed. I'm keeping me from the highest levels of feeling okay. And I'm keeping me from the highest levels of being aware and relating to me, my body, my life, my afterlife, and interacting with others and things. And I'm keeping me from what already exists. There's a deeper potential for me to be a believer, to have faith. I can have faith and live with faith and experience security, non-neediness, complete reliance upon the one power, acknowledgement of it, acceptance of it. And I can actually experience being an empowered adult, because at the age that I am now, anything above 18, definitely above 25, you are an adult and you can experience yourself beyond what you've experienced yourself as. There's another version of you can be, and you can support that. As a child, it's debatable whether you can do that, but as an adult you can definitely do that. You can go beyond the reality of who you've been. You can go beyond the reality of how you've related and interacted. As an adult, you have the ability to claim different realities for you. You can support yourself being pleased, experiencing being pleased more and more. You can invoke it and energize it, and you can experience being supported in the reality being made happen for you. So as an adult, you can play a very conscious, constructive and creative role in your life as an adult. You can. And you can, but we can. There is a deeper truth that what's possible for us, as adults we can be true believers, true secure. Mu'min is secure in the root words of Arabic and Aramaic. You can experience yourself as being much more secure than you are, and you non-needy, free, and you can experience yourself freely caring for you, aware of what's valuable to you, and support it, and to open up to alternative potentials of being and possibilities of living. That's true for you. You can. There's a deeper truth. You can do that. But the trances, the mind, the identification, the attachment, the championing of it, the failure to go beyond the mind, the failure to deny, untruth, the failure to champion truth and live truthfully, what it does is that it keeps us lost, needy and beggarly, powerless like addicts and victims who are into excitement, It's like safety and relief and excitement. The beggar is looking for safety, the addict is looking for relief of some kind, and the victim is looking for excitement, that something in the world will change, The beggar is saying, when I get something in the world, I'll be okay. The addict is saying that when something in the world changes, I'll be okay. And the victim is saying somebody in the world can make it different for me. Somebody in the world can change my experience. None of that is true. It's projection out of power into the physical world. It's denying that you can go multidimensional, you can surrender your mind, you can experience truth, the awareness, and you can know as an adult what pleases you, and you can know that the alternative reality is to claim and claim it and have it materialized for you. So we are failing ourselves to some degree or another. We are letting ourselves down. Not anybody, not anything. Through our attachment to our minds, we're letting ourselves down. And it's okay. We got to accept that it's okay. We are allowed to be as we are. We're acceptable the way we are. We appreciate it the way we are. There's compassion for us. It's unconditional valuing of us. That's compassion. God is the compassionate. That love is never withheld from us. Support is never withheld from us, while we keep ourselves from knowing that we're okay, from experiencing being powerful, and from experiencing God's good for us in this world and the world beyond. We are the ones, that's all we can do. We can only keep ourselves from experiencing being secure. we can keep ourselves from experiencing being pleased and satisfied and fulfilled, being powerful and prosperous. We can do that. But we are free, but we're not aware and experiencing it. We are okay, we're not aware and experiencing, and there is God's good for us in this world and the world beyond, but we're not aware of it and we're not experiencing it. And that's what we recognize. That's our error, that's our sin. We are in the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We're eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Happiness and unhappiness, the mind, this is right, this is wrong, this is how it should be, this is how it shouldn't be, this is good, this is bad. We think we know, we judge, and we withhold love in our judgment. This is ugly, he's ugly, this is bad, I hate this. When you are in that, I hate this and I lust after that, that is Satan. You're in the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I love this, which is I lust after it, and I hate this. Boy, so special it is, in a good way, in a bad way. This thing, this experience, this thing created is so important. It's so significant. That's us attributing significance. What if it's not as important as we think it is? What if we believe that it is significant, but it's not? Are we prepared to drop it? So let's not make it significant that we make the world and the things of this world significant. Let's speak the truth about it without making it significant. Let's not make it something to feel strongly about. Don't feel strongly about your erring, your sinning. God alone is to be felt strongly about, the compassion, the love. That's where we place our attention, on the caring, consideration and compassion, the caretaking and the contribution of this one power that is beyond, that we are really okay in His care. This is a believer, one who is God conscious, one who is aware of God, who is focused on God, the one that alone that exists to be focused on, and the one alone that we can relate to, in being aware that we are being related to by God. There's only, God in that way. So we, as we're going through these 7 spiritual practices, our going through it is actually in our best interest, because we're beginning to see that it's going beyond the mind and the trances that lock us into time and space and keeps us from being aware of the one power always with us and for us, interested in us, attentive to us. The more we are interested, the more we are aware of and focus on the one power, we are beyond trances. We're living trance-free living. A true believer is basically a person who's living beyond trances. Truth is beyond trances. If you're in truth, there's no trances. If you're into truth, and when you know that there is the one because of whom we are, in whose care we always are in, and that one is with us and for us, interested in us, attentive to us, is our creator, our cause, our cherisher, our carer, our considerer, the compassionate towards us, unconditionally loving. Love is never withheld from us, always given to us, even though we are while we are. And that one is here to take care of problems for us. As we experience security with God, the problems are handled for us. As we handle life without trying to handle it, God handles it for us. That is the 6th spiritual practice of patience, allowing, acceptance, non-resistance, non-reaction. And then we can go into the last one, that God is the contributor, that the materializer of that which we energize, that we can't make ourselves have what we want. God gives us what we want. God gives us the people, things and experiences to support us in having the pleasurable, enjoyable experiences that we have invoked. We can't bring anybody into our life. We can't make anybody love us. We can't make anybody, we won't even know who to choose. But God, the one intelligence, is all aware of what's suitable for us and beneficial for us. So as we are and we open up to more and more being benefited, it is delivered to us. We don't have to deliver it. When you go to a restaurant, you place an order and it is prepared for you and it's brought and you sit and you eat and enjoy it. You don't place the order and then say, all right, come to the kitchen, I'll show you how to make it. Or I'll show you where the ingredients are, you make it. The cosmic kitchen is like that too, that You place your order, and you can't go and prepare it, but it is prepared for you. And you get what you order. So that's invocation, the seventh spiritual practice that we talk about and practice and apply ourselves in. And I'm just, using this opportunity to show you that how important it is to recognize the impact of your mind. How your mind keeps you in trances, lost in time and space, just by making somebody or something special, worthy of reaction, projecting power onto something and somebody. It keeps you from knowing that you are in the care of the one whose care is sufficient for us, that you are okay and everything is okay. The moment you start thinking about this is a problem and that is a problem and I don't like what he said and what she said, you move into a trance. Satan is whispering to you, and you then fail to actually recognize you're okay, everything is okay, through your multi-level awareness. See, so as we really recognize the effects of our mind through the fifth spiritual practice of invoking protection, forgiveness, we say that we are the ones generating a low frequency vibration. And there's effects for every choice. There are consequences for every choice. For every cause there's an effect. So our energy produces in this dimension experiences. And when we realize that there's a law of cause and effect, and we are subjected to the law of cause and effect, and we say, look, we admit that we are in error, putting out a negative energy, and that when you put out a negative energy, what you have coming back to you is low vibrational experiences, forms that are not really pleasant. Once you see that and feel that truth, you're aware of that truth, you accept that truth, you can have remorse and sorrow and regret that, I'm sorry that for my past, present and future trances that keep me from feeling okay and being secure, and I'm sorry for my past and future, present and future trances that keep me from being an adult, caring for me, caring for my body, caring for my life, caring for my afterlife, caring for others in my life, because I'm in this trance. I'm sorry for these trances that keep me. I see that this is something that I am sad about. Without shame, without guilt, without unworthiness, I see that I'm erring, and I'm sorry. The sorrow that I'm holding myself back in this world and the world beyond, and that I deprive myself. I see that by being a beggar, an addict, and a victim, I'm actually keeping myself needy, keeping myself powerless, and keeping myself deprived in this world and the world beyond. It's not something benefiting me. I'm very sorry about that. At the same time, I'm very grateful that I have God to protect me from the effects of my own negativity. I'm very thankful that I have protection, and I invoke that protection. I can experience reassurance that while I am as I am, I'm loved, supported, and protected. Love is never withheld from me. Compassion is always given to me. That God doesn't need me to be different. God wants me to be, more humane and living the blueprint. God wants me to claim human excellence, what there is for me to claim. But God needs nothing from me. God is my championer. God is the one who's my encourager. I'm letting myself down. I'm causing problems for me. But while I am, I'm still loved. How wonderful that is. I'm allowed to be unconscious to the degree that I am. I'm allowed to continue to be unconscious. There's no judgment against me. See, when you're aware of truth, you are a believer. And that's all that matters. When you're aware that there is love for you unconditionally, and there is no judgment against you, that God is the loving, compassionate, the merciful, the forgiving, the pardoning, the protecting, the all-protecting. That is how loved you are. That is the believer. Security. I remind you, the Quran says, say to the believers that God or do not despair of the mercy of your Lord. Your Lord forgives all sins. God forgives all sins. So, what does that mean? The believers who are aware multidimensionally of the presence of love, support and protection, they are secure enough as they speak the truth about themselves and their errings to invoke the protection that in this world, whatever I have miscreated, self-miscreated realities, horrible experiences, and in the world beyond my death, self-created horrible misperceptions, that create realities, hell in this world and the world beyond. Remember, people create their hell in this world. They create their suffering in this world. And it doesn't stop at death. It goes beyond. People deprive themselves in this world, and they deprive themselves in the world hereafter. And we can see that, and we can ask for our own and others' forgiveness. We can ask for our parents, our ancestors, our children, our progeny, their offspring, our siblings' families, and their children and their spouses and their spouses' parents, and our spouses and our spouses' families, and all sorts of things. Everybody. We through the power of our awareness and recognizing God's loving nature and how we are, we can invoke the forgiveness of God upon us by being sincere and admitting the truth. We are the ones holding ourselves back. It's okay that we do that. We're loved while we do that. Don't attribute significance to that. Don't make that something to react to. Always don't give form priority over God. God is the creator, and God is to be given, God is innately valuable. We don't give and attribute significance on God. We recognize God is the intrinsically valuable, all valuable. There's nothing that compares to the value of God. We are aware of that. We experience that. So, just talking a little bit about that there, that you are allowed to be as you are. Don't be harsh upon yourself. But we are among those who are willing to recognize truth, surrender and submit, go beyond the satanic mind, go beyond judgment, go beyond self-righteousness, see more and more aware the one power that is with us and for us, and that we are in its care. The wind is always blowing. We hoist our sails. We are the ones who have pulled down our sails. Insecure people, needy people have pulled down their sails. It's like we all came in with our sails up and the wind is there, but we might bring our sails, or let's say this way, we created with our sails up, but somewhere along the line we bring our sails down and we're saying there's no wind, there's nothing to help us, but we are the ones just not letting ourselves be helped. We are keeping ourselves from being aware that we are supported. We are not letting ourselves know how loved, cared for, supported, sustained we are, how nurtured we are, how nourished we are, how that we are allowed to be, and how loved we are, and that we can be remorseful and have a commitment to a greater security, a greater selffulness, and a greater satisfaction, and we can invoke the protection of God for wherever we are unconscious and we haven't been on the path, and that we have His protection, and we rejoice that, and we experience that, and that's the reassurance that dissolves the effects of the negativity that we've put out there that is coming back to us. Experiencing being protected by God, having God to protect us, rejoicing that, and being thankful that I'm loved while I am as I am, and I'm protected. Letting love in, experiencing that compassion of God, and that protection of God is the fifth spiritual practice. The sixth spiritual practice is where you allow yourself to be as you are. You allow it to continue to be that you are as you are. You allow the forms of this world to be, and you allow it to continue to be. You're not interested in trying to control it or change it, and you're not controlled by it. You're not trying to handle it like you can do something about it. Remember, in truth, we are created beings. We can't really do anything. We can't really do anything. Everything that we do is forceful and egoic and doesn't really benefit us. It has problems because the more you force, the more there's a counterforce created against us. We don't realize that. the more people are needy, the more that which they're needy on is moved away. They have to earn it, try to get it, work hard for it. The more people hold on tightly to something, they generate an energy that takes it away from them in time. They will lose what they tightly hold on to. Those people that are very possessive of money and a partner and all that sort of thing, they will lose that partner. That extent of that will lose. So when we come to the sixth spiritual practice of allowing, accepting, patience, we recognize nothing needs to be done about anything. Our trying to do something about our problems is going to cause us a problem, further problem. This resistance is going to persist, it's going to intensify over time. And so we practice letting it be, letting it continue to be, instead of trying to change it, trying to control it, feeling controlled by it, trying to get God to change it. That obsession on a form and trying to make it different, we release it. And we experience security, knowing that we are among those who are already secure, that we are okay. We don't need anything for us to be okay. We're okay now. Without something that we want, we're still okay. With something that we don't want, we're still okay. That we don't need to feel different for us to be okay. That while we feel as we feel, we're still okay. We can experience security while we don't feel okay. We can allow ourselves to not have things, to have things we don't want to have. We can allow ourselves to feel the way we don't want to feel, or not feel the way we want to feel. We can still know that we're okay. We can experience okay in spite of the conditions of our life, or our emotional state, or what's in our life and not in our life. We can still feel okay. We don't have to make ourselves beggars, addicts, and victims when forms are not ideal. It's not the way we want it to be. When it's the way we don't want it to be, we don't have to get all hung up on it. That's security. We know we're okay. God is guiding. The earth is spinning. We are alive. There is the one power. We can't spin the earth. We can't make the trees give us oxygen. There's a supportive system here. We are okay. This is what we go beyond the satanic mind, and we are reminding ourselves there is the one power. This world is because of this one power, and this world is in the care of this one power. We are in the care of this one power. Security, while something is less than ideal, begins to allow the caretaking power to dissolve it. The problem will dissolve if you stop focusing on it and you start feeling secure. It will go away. The trance tells you no. Must focus on it. If you don't focus on it, it's going to continue to be. You must be against it, because if you're not against it, you are for it. The trance will... That's what the trance is telling us. It's lies. This is something to attribute significance to. That's why you have to surrender your mind, connect with God generally. And now in this particular step, in this particular practice, specifically while something is going on, we can experience being secure. We experience being secure and okay, and everything is okay while something is not the way we want it to be, while something is the way we don't want it to be. Everything is okay. We come to know that and experience that. And that is the security that begins to dissolve. The caretaker can take care of the unreality and dissolve it. From that level of security, we can move into the seventh and final practice. And the seventh and final practice is invocation. It's energizing the alternative realities. It's recognizing there is, beyond what I'm experiencing, another reality for me to be aware of and experience and immerse myself in now. A pleasing, satisfying reality. In spite of what I'm going through, it doesn't matter. Let me focus on what I can have the experience of. What is possible? What is the potential for me to be and become? Instead of saying, I'm sick now, I'm a patient, I can be fit and strong. There's a potential for me to experience myself as a healthy person. I can be a healthy person. I choose to focus on being a healthy person rather than being a sick person. What would that look like and feel like? What would I experience? What would that world be like? What would be pleasing to me? Can I get into that reality while things are as they are? See, can I get into that reality while things are as they are? And the answer is yes, and I do that. I'm not interested in what's happening, I'm interested in what can happen. What's happening or what has happened is the past. Instead of dealing with the effects of our energy from the past, we invoke the forgiveness, protection of God, we invoke God to take care of it. we're not interested in it. We're more interested in our security with God, and we're interested in what we can be and what we can have and what we can experience, and we energize that. We are focused, we are certain about the alternate reality. We feel into it, and we experience it, and we remain loyal to it, knowing that whatever we energize is materialized. This is the law, that there is a power, that grows the seed into a tree. And if we plant the seed of our desire, praying, believing that we have it, without a doubt in our heart that it's so, certain of the feeling of living in that reality, we plant that seed of desire in the soil of the imagination, that power that grows the seed into the tree will produce for us the reality that we desire. And it's happening. We are confident with active faith and expectant trust. It's now, the problem is going away, and we feel that and experience that. And what's happening is that reality is coming into being. We live through that reality shifting in our consciousness, and that then becomes reflected in our reality. As we know that we're okay in spite of and despite of what's going on, that okayness and certainty of our okayness starts being experienced in our experience of reality. We start witnessing things shifting and changing. I am okay. While this body is diseased, I am okay. I don't need the body to not be diseased for me to be okay. I'm okay now. I'm always okay now. Everything is always okay now. In spite of what I think, in spite of what I see, in spite of what I feel, in spite of what's going on, despite what's going on, I am okay. The more you feel I am in His care who created me, everything is okay, the more you accept that as a certainty, I'm okay, you will begin to notice the reality shifting around you. And when you begin to say, I'm open to that pleasing experience that exists, God's good for me in this world and the world beyond, there are potentials for me to be and become, and I see myself being that, feeling myself being that, becoming that. How wonderful it is. I can write books and be an author, one after the other, that is bestsellers and people buying it and benefiting, and it benefits me to do that in so many different ways. I see and feel myself being an author. How wonderful it is. How wonderful it, to make that contribution, to leave a legacy, the value of writing a book or many books. And I see and feel myself to be that. I'm becoming that. And I am that. I see myself as being that. And here's my books. And in that reality, I've got a readership. And people are loving what I write. And there's an audience that loves my work. And they're appreciating it. And I can see it and feel it like it's already true. While my eyes don't see it and my ears don't hear it. And it's nowhere to be seen in the physical world. But I see and feel it as it is true in the multidimensional, because I'm claiming that potential, I'm claiming that possibility, I'm living it, I'm energizing it. That is invocation, that is prayer, and trusting that whatever is energized is materialized, and knowing that it's going to happen. As many things I've seen and felt have come to be, as everything I've seen and felt fully and engaged without any blockages to it has come to be, this too will come to be. So I've just made a point, from the beginning of our time together this morning, is the role of the mind in holding you stuck in time and space, resisting and reacting to forms. And the role of the mind that while you are so interested in the forms of this world, you can't be aware multidimensionally of the one power always available, the wind that's always blowing. You see, the mind causes you, the mind can't cause you, but when you be more interested in the mind rather than in your awareness of truth, your sail comes down on the boat, on the yacht, and you then are dead in the water, meaning you're floating and bobbing around, and then you try to use your oars or your hands to paddle the boat. It's a lot of stress, it's a lot of strain. And that's what happens when we don't have faith, when we're not aware beyond the mind of truth, when we're not aware from a level of multidimensional awareness that we are loved and cared for, supported, protected, everything is okay. When we don't know that multidimensionally, when we're thinking, no, if I have money, then I'll be okay. When somebody loves me, then I'll be okay. When we're not experiencing our faith, we lower our sails. And the wind is always there, but we're not harnessing it. And then we think there's no wind, and that's when people think there's no God. And they think, but I prayed to God and I asked God, for this and that, and He didn't help me. And that's where they go into a belief system understanding of God as doctrine and dogma and ritual. They don't know faith is what the great masters taught. The great master Jesus taught about faith. The great master Muhammad taught of faith. The great master Moses, the prophets and revelers of God, messengers of God have taught us about faith. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say mountain move and the mountain will move. It means if you're certain about the supportive power that always is and the extent to which it is capable, you will invoke and you will have what you want. The Quran is full of verses on the importance of those who believe and have faith. And if you have faith and if you apply yourself powerfully in this world as an adult, there is good for you in this world, and there's a world in the world beyond. You will live differently. This is human excellence. So human beings don't know that they are in the mind of knowledge of good and evil, lost there and living faithlessly and thinking from their limited awareness that they understand, and they have a limited understanding. And that's why no matter what they do with their egos, their lives will reflect unfulfillment. No matter how much money they get, but their lives will reflect unfulfillment. It's only when a person surrenders and submits the mind, lets go completely, and goes beyond the mind of that where the contamination exists, where the satanic promptings are. When a person surrenders the mind, there is the awareness of that person that faith can be experienced and lived. The person with faith is harnessing the wind, or metaphorically the wind, the power that is sufficient for us to, they feel secure, confident, okay, having been given, pleased, right here, right now, knowing that they are in error without judging themselves, applying to benefit themselves more and more, less and less, not in error, to go beyond error and sin, and to be as more aligned to truth that we can, and invoking the protection of God despite of what's going on, and feeling that assurance and reassurance, and practicing patience, not the mind saying do this and do that and get this and say that and this is what you must do and that's what you mustn't do. Lost in the mind, the person who is faithless cannot practice patience because they do not trust. They do not know that they are okay and there is a power to use. They reacting and trying to control and change, and they try to get God. The faithless try to get God to change and control things for them. Like God has got nothing to do, just waiting for you, and will start Godding only when you ask Him. God is a power always operating. We've got to recognize that God is operating now, we're not aware. God is loving now, we're not aware. God is supportive now, we're not aware. God is protective now, we're not aware. But when we become aware, we are transformed through our awareness, and we live in a different experience of the world. And there we can release into the care of God and experience miracles as problem situations are dissolved, feeling secure, instead of like needing to be pleased and needing to be okay. It's no big deal. We don't attribute significance to the pleasures of this world. We don't attribute significance to the problems of this world. It doesn't mean that we're not in support of our pleasures and we're not, that we must be for our problems. It just means that we are spiritual. We are operating beyond trances. We are operating beyond, the mind. We are aware, we are feeling, like we heard yesterday, people are expressing that now they're shifting and now they are much more secure and they're more self-full and they now are ready to move towards a higher level of living and experiencing because they're more and more secure. But if you're insecure, if you don't use the 7 spiritual practices, you're just going to be lost in time and space, angry, upset, feeling threatened, trying to control, reacting powerlessly, judgmental, keeping away from you God's good for you in this world and the world beyond. You won't operate in a way where your magnetics are open to high quality people, things and experiences if you don't have faith. If you have faith, you can start appreciating what is valuable, and you can open up to enjoy what is valuable. And as you appreciate and enjoy what is valuable, whether it's people, things, and experiences, from having faith, you become a magnet to it. By being faithless and focusing on people, things, and experiences, you become repulsive, a negative magnet. You understand? We're talking about attracting the good when you have faith and you're operating with freedom and fulfillment in mind, in consciousness, in focus. Your magnetics are right. When you are operating powerlessly, your magnetics are off. We attract to us people who are unloving, unsupportive, threatening, critical, shaming, when our magnetics are off, abusive, when our magnetics are off. When our magnetics are right, we attract to us people who are supportive, benefiting, available, caring. And we don't even have to find them and make them be the way we want them to be. We just energize what we want. So what we're talking about here is the importance of the 7 spiritual practices and the importance of being committed to them. And that's what I was emphasizing yesterday. If you're aware of the 7 spiritual practices and if you're committed to them, that means you're showing up in a way that is beyond your ego. And you will progress and prosper because you're going to claim more and more security, more and more self-fulness, and more satisfaction. But if you are still living controlled by the mind in your trances, lost, and then you won't be interested in your security. You won't be interested in your self-fulness. Being a person who is non-needy, you won't be interested. You'll maintain neediness and perpetuate neediness. You'll be like a beggar and you'll carry on like a beggar to your death and beyond if you don't champion spiritual teaching, champion spiritual practices. You will be in some way an addict, unfulfilled in your life. And that will continue to your death and beyond if you don't engage in spiritual practice. I'm not threatening you, I'm just telling you choice and consequence. You will deprive yourself in this world and the world beyond if you don't engage in spiritual practices, because you are maintaining the ego self, the ego structures. You are maintaining who you've been all along instead of going beyond who you've been. You're continuing to be like your parents instead of going beyond what your parents have been. You are not realizing that your parents had a limited awareness. They weren't aware of truth. You in the past wasn't aware of truth. There's gaps in your knowledge. You might not be aware that you don't really know as much as you think you know. You might not be aware that you are ignorant. You might not be aware that you are arrogant. And you might be thinking, no, I know. And you'll be perpetuating your insecurity, your powerlessness, and your deprivation. This is why those of us who are humble will listen and hear, and we will then begin to surrender these superstitions that we've had, that there is no God, or there is a deity, or we think like we don't talk about all those things and God and all that. We'll just be sensible and use our mind. It means you're not living with active faith, and you will maintain your insecurity if you don't champion active faith, and you will maintain a child that is neglecting yourself, your body, your life, your afterlife if you don't support active faith, and you will keep yourself deprived. If you look at your life and you see the patterns of deprivation, you've either had abusive people in your life, neglectful people in your life, unavailable people in your life. That's going to continue. You worked hard for money and it's always been hard, and you're controlled by money. It's going to be like that. Whatever you've seen your parents live, whatever you've lived, if you continue in the way that you've been, it's just going to continue. You don't need to be a fortune teller. If you maintain your unconsciousness, your consciousness will be maintained. If you are supporting conscious awareness, you will be supported in further conscious awareness. If you are committed to spiritual growth, personal development and experiential enrichment, spiritual power, personal power and creative power, then good for you, because you are going beyond who you knew yourself as. what you know reality as and what you have known as experiences in life, you are actually realizing that I am recognizing my mind and my mind's limitation upon me, my misperceptions, my beliefs that I have, that I'm perpetuating through my mind. I'm keeping the same mind. You ask people, do you want to change your mind? When I do magic tricks and I say to people, you choose a card, they choose a card. I say, you want to change your mind? They say, no, I don't want to change my mind. I say, do you want to keep the same mind? As a joke. But I'm not really joking, that do you really want to keep the same mind? Do you want to change your mind, or do you want to keep the same mind? I don't want to keep the mind that's limited and limited me, that's kept me away from security, that's kept me from being an adult and kept me deprived from God's good for me in this world and the world beyond. There's people, things and experiences. Nothing is missing, nothing is lacking. In the world, there are people, things and experiences who can be my friend, spouse, partner, whatever, clients, who can add to my life. And to some degree or another, I'm keeping that out. I'm attracting to me, I'm just using it as an example for all of us. We can attract to us, worst case scenarios, abusive situations. Attracting the low frequency partners and people, things and experiences. Or we can attract high quality partners, things and situation experiences. I would like to change my mind. I want to change my mind. I want to go beyond how I think, how I perceive, what I believe reality is about, how I operate in the world, relate in the world. I want to be aware and conscious of truth, surrender, submit, and experience security. I want to relate in a very powerful way, interact in a very powerful way, and whatever's stopping me from experiencing security and selffulness, I'm willing to let it go. I'm willing to change my mind, and I'm open and willing to be more satisfied and fulfilled, to shift my magnetics to attract better for me, which already is in the world. Nothing is missing, nothing is lacking. It's just our electromagnetics are either repelling or attracting. What are we repelling? What are we attracting? I want to shift my mind and its electromagnetics to let in more. I want to let in more. I want to be more receptive. I want to focus on a higher level of feeling of enjoyment and satisfaction and fulfillment, and attract the people, things and experiences that can support that. I want to change my mind. Therefore, I apply myself every day in the 7 spiritual practices, at least for 5 minutes, but I do it. And this is my point with you, to encourage you, again, without forcing you, again, without in any way like imposing on you, or I don't want you to feel it's putting pressure on us to be other than we are. You are allowed to be as you are. You are loved while you are as you are. You are appreciated. You don't have to be different. I'm telling you now, you don't have to be different. It's not required for you to be different. But should you choose to be more secure, I can support you. Should you choose to be more selfful, I can support you. Should you choose to be more satisfied, I support you. And this is the practices that has benefited me, that I'm supporting you with, that I choose to be more secure, more selfful, more satisfied. I am interested in that more than anything else, because it's going to benefit me in this world and the world beyond. That the more I apply myself to go beyond trances, the more I go beyond neediness, the more I realize I need nothing, I have what I require, I'm okay now, everything is okay now. That's what I want to feel, more and more secure. I don't want to be in trances and lost, keeping myself from experiencing how secure I am. I want to support myself experiencing how secure I really am that I'm unaware of. Remember, our worshipping and praising and praying is not making us secure. It's supporting us to experience that we are already secure. Our practices are not going to make us become adults. It's going to reveal to us that we are adults and choose to live as adults rather than live as abandoned children. Empowered adults rather than disempowered addicts. the children of God, metaphorically speaking, rather than the street children of this world. I choose that. I can choose that. I choose that. I'm so grateful I can choose that. I'm so grateful I've been guided to choose that. And this is my path. This is the path of all great teachers that I follow in, guiding people beyond their mind and the tree of knowledge of good and evil into the awareness of God and truth, security, that everything is always okay, we are always okay, that we are powerful now, we are creative now, that through your mind you're so lost in trances that you can't see what you are capable of and what support there is for us to apply ourselves with. How we can be in the world at a higher level of being, demonstrating human excellence. The trance says, don't worry about all that. Focus on this. It's good, it's bad, it's right, it's wrong. Remain safe. Protect yourself. This is happiness and unhappiness, and avoid unhappiness, then you'll be happy. That's the addict. Safe and unsafe, okay and not okay, that is the addict. Sorry, that is the beggar. The beggar is all about, I'm okay, I'm not okay, I'm safe, I'm threatened. The addict is happy and unhappy. I'll be happy when, after this, sometime in the future, when I smoke, when I drink, when I eat, when I have sex, that's going to make me happy, excite me in some way, change my moods. I want to go beyond all this nonsense of the beggar and the addict, and I want to go beyond the victim, depriving myself, living a life of less and lack, keeping out good for me in this world and the world beyond. So if you are, like that, where you're choosing, you don't have to worship and pray. The Quran says there's no compulsion in religion. You can't force somebody to choose truth. Somebody of their own account, somebody of their own volition has to choose. You must choose to experience security. Your choosing to experience security doesn't make you secure. You already are secure. You must choose to experience yourself as an adult. I can't force you to experience security. I can't force you to, and neither will I do that, and I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that you can't force you to choose security. You can't choose you to force to choose selffulness. You can't choose you to force yourself. You can't force yourself to go for security, selffulness, and satisfaction. And you don't have to. That's the beauty of it. If you don't, you're still okay. You're just not aware that you're okay. If you don't, you still have adult power, but you're not aware that you have that adult power, and you're not using it. If you don't, you won't know that what you have that already exists for you to claim, you'll be keeping it out. You'll just keep out the people, things, and experiences in this world, and in the world hereafter, what there is for you to enjoy, you'll just keep it out. And whether you keeping out God's good for you in this world and the world beyond, you're still okay. You're just not letting yourself experience ease, joy, enjoyment, satisfaction. And if that's your choice, to live in the trances of your mind, it's okay. And I'm not being funny or facetious. You are allowed to be as you are, and you're loved. While you keep yourself insecure, you keep yourself from experiencing being okay, you're still loved. You're not aware that you're loved. You're not aware that you are okay. While you don't allow yourself to experience ease and good feeling naturally and enjoy now, you're still loved. You're still okay. It's still there for you, but you're not experiencing, natural good feelings. And while there are people, things, and experiences that you can have in your life that are there, you are keeping it out. You're still loved. You're still okay. You're just not letting yourself. So if you fail to apply yourself with spiritual practices, it's not a big thing. Let's not make it a big thing. Because there's still God. You're still in the care of God. You're just not aware of it. Do you want to remain unaware of God and how cared for, considered, how much compassion there is? God the considerer, God the one considerate and compassionate, God the caretaking championer, and the contributing championer. You're just not aware of that. Do you want to be aware of it? You don't have to be aware of that. You don't have to. But you can be. If you want to be aware of that, then that's fine too. That if you want to experience security, if you want to feel the truth of reality, how loved and supported and protected you are, that's okay too. If you don't, it's fine. But remember, if you don't open to feeling loved, supported and protected in universal terms by God, you can forget about being a healthy adult. And you can forget about having other healthy adults in your life, and you can forget about natural living and living naturally in this world and the world beyond. So if you choose, I'm not interested in my spiritual growth and spiritual practices, that's okay. As long as you're okay living needily, and don't complain about it. And you living powerlessly like a child and you're not being an adult, don't complain about it. And you then will suffer deprivation unnecessarily. That's your choice. It's okay. You're still okay, but you don't know. Everything's still okay, you just don't know. You will just be in a hell of your own creation, unnecessarily fearful, vulnerable, unnecessarily feeling like a child and, protecting yourself and relieving yourself, instead of really going for ease, joy and enjoyment, nurturing yourself and nourishing yourself. You'll just be in a defensive, protective mode. You won't feel really loved, supported and protected. You won't feel secure. You won't really be there interested in you and your life and your body and your afterlife and others, and you won't really be an outstanding person, a remarkable human being. If that's not important to you, if you say, I don't want to be outstanding and I don't want to be remarkable and I don't want to have an extraordinary experience of life, I'm just okay being a needy person and or anti-needy. Remember, there's need and anti-need. I need to not need. Oh, I'll just carry on like I don't need money and I don't need love and I don't need happiness and I'm depriving myself. If that's who you want to be, so be it. It's a free will universe. God has given you free will never take it away from you. It will never, interfere in your life. God will intervene if you invoke God. God will intervene in your life, but will never interfere in your life. Your choice is given to you. You can choose what you want. So, just to end this section, just to say to you that it's a choice. It's a very personal choice. And a lot of people think, but Ashraf, who cares? I got food on the table. I got a house to live in. I got somebody in my bed. Who cares about spiritual security? Who cares about personal development? And who cares about, fulfillment and all that kind of thing? Who cares about all that? As long as we're not suffering in the world, as long as you're not starving, and as long as you're not without money, as long as you have some food, and as long as you have some money, as long as you have some shelter for your body, as long as you have a job, some of us might think, I got a job, that's what really matters, man. Nothing else matters. I got a house to live in. I got luxury in this world, so that's all that matters. Why must I choose security? I don't need to choose security. I don't need to choose selffulness, and I don't need to choose satisfaction, because things are not bad. There's no need for me to choose it. That's what I told you. It mustn't be needed. It must be chosen. It's something that you realize you don't need, but you want. It has to be chosen. It's like listening to lovely music. It must be chosen. Nobody says, I need so badly to listen to some nice music. I need so badly. The beggar never says, I need so badly to eat a delicious pot of food. The beggar says, I just need to avoid starvation. It doesn't matter if it doesn't taste nice. It doesn't matter if it's not healthy. As long as I don't starve, who needs tasty, nutritious food? I don't need tasty, nutritious food. That's the beggar. That's what makes you a beggar. Who needs to really have an easy, enjoyable, satisfying life? As long as I am not without money, that's the most important thing. So, what I'm saying is that most people will think, but everything is okay, so why must I make choices? Like, in the sense of, I have money and I have food, and well, I'll tell you why, because that's a house of cards. It will collapse sooner or later. If you don't have the energy of inner security, it's not going to be reflected in your world. If you don't have the energy of selffulness, it's not going to be reflected in your world. If you don't have the energy of satisfaction, it's not going to be reflected in your world. You can operate fourth-dimensionally, egoically, and manipulate to make sure you don't starve and you don't have, no place to live, and you're not alone. You can manipulate and control egoically and make sure that you are not suffering, and you might think that's wonderful. I'm not suffering, therefore it's wonderful. And that is a big lie, one of the biggest trances you can be in. That I don't need to choose, so I won't choose security, selffulness, and satisfaction. Those are the people, sooner or later, bad things happen in their reality as a reflection of the failure to experience security. Remember, if you are insecure, you're maintaining neediness. If you maintain neediness, opposing forces kick in and you create lack. So you can be possessing something and coming from neediness, sooner or later it'll be taken away from you, not by anybody or anything taking it away from you, but because of the law, because of principle, that you have made other than truth important, you will be in a distorted reality. You have made something other than God the source of your security. You're an idolater, and you're idolizing. You believe that something is making you okay, and that thing will destroy you. All idols destroy us, not that they have the power to destroy us, but because we project power onto them. Because we don't allow ourselves to surrender to truth, align to truth. And thus then we are destroyed by our failure to champion truth, by our insistence on remaining arrogant. So the idols, the people, things and experiences of the created world that we attribute significance to, that we control by, that we try and control in our lives, those are the things that we might think, well, I've got a great job, I've got a partner in my life, I've got food, I've got money, I've got everything I require, I'm not suffering, so I don't need to go for security, selffulness and satisfaction. That's the pride that comes before the fall. I'm only cautioning you. All the great masters and teachers, they gave us the good news, they gave us the glad tidings, and they followed it with a caution. No, they said to us, we're always okay. Go beyond and see that you're always okay. Those who fail to experience faith, bad things happen in their reality. The worst thing come upon them in this world and the world beyond. So it is my responsibility to you as my student to clearly, unambiguously point out to you, without forcing you or controlling you, the path and the value of spiritual practice, and you choose to value the spiritual practice or not, you choose to learn more about it or not, you choose to engage it in or not. If you do engage it, good for you. Each of the 7 spiritual practices has a key in it. It does something for you that takes you beyond who you've been and how you've lived and what you thought the nature of reality was. It empowers you to go beyond a non-believer to a believer, an insecure to a secure person, a disempowered to an empowered person, from a victim to a vicegerent. You can have a transformation that spiritual practice supports. And if you do have that transformation, it's on the up and up after that, gets easier and easier, and you'll be able to wield your creative power. And that's where we are heading, to wielding our creative power. But 90% of the work is spiritual power, 9% of the work is personal power, which is what we're going to look at later today. after our first break. And and we're going from spiritual power to personal power, and eventually to creative power. And it has to be done in that order. And those of you who are showing up differently from the way you showed up before, those of you who are seeing things differently from the way you've seen things differently, those of you who are being authentically more spiritual now, not religious, but more spiritual, more beyond the mind and the influences of the mind, and more into the freedom of the being and experiencing truth. Those of you will now have the opportunity, as we go forward, to be more caring of you, your bodies, your life, your afterlife. You'll be able to see more clearly, your life and aspects of your life and the role of your life, things and people and experiences, and the role that you play in your life with people, things and experiences. And you'll be able to participate more constructively in your life. And as you participate more consciously, because you're spiritually aware now, and you operate more constructively, going beyond letting yourself down, you can open up to God's good for you in this world and the world beyond, and you can be supported in having that which you claim and energize materialized for you. So that's where I stop for now, and the floor is open for sharing. And after this we'll go into a sequential focus of each of these 7 spiritual practices as the key that it unlocks. So thank you so much for your attention and allowing me to drill this over and over into us, but I will not be doing it anymore after today, and it's up to you which way you want to go. I respect that, and the floor is open for sharing.